The galaxy was vast and filled with countless species, each one proud of its own history, its fleets, and its victories. In this endless sea of stars, humanity was seen as nothing more than a small voice, a young race from a single blue planet on the edge of nowhere. The great empires of the galaxy had seen thousands of wars, built ships the size of cities, and fought battles that shook entire systems. To them, the humans were simple, untested, and weak. When news spread that Earth was building warships to join the galactic stage, the universe laughed. Holographic shows played in alien cities where comedians mocked human ships. They showed images of fragile vessels made of thin metal and cheap engines, calling them toys for children. Crowds roared with laughter as actors pretended to be humans, stumbling and shouting in fake fear while alien fleets crushed them in the jokes. Broadcasts across the galaxy carried this mockery, and soon every race repeated the same words. Human warships were nothing but myths, weak toys of a weak people. Yet behind the laughter, there was silence from Earth. Humans did not answer the mockery. They did not send angry messages or threats. They only watched and waited. This silence was strange, because every other species in the galaxy would answer such insults with fury, but the humans simply said nothing. To the aliens, this silence was proof of weakness. To the humans, it was something else. Hidden deep in space, in shipyards floating in darkness, Earth's fleets were taking shape. The galaxy thought they were building ordinary ships with ordinary weapons. They were wrong. The humans were building something the galaxy had never seen. But no one outside Earth knew this yet. Instead, alien news networks filled their channels with jokes. One popular alien host showed a human ship made of wooden planks, falling apart in the middle of space while alien children pointed and laughed. Another broadcast showed a giant alien fleet crushing a single human ship with one blast, and the audience screamed with joy. They believed these tales because they wanted to believe them. They wanted to believe that humans could never rise, that the balance of power would never change. In the great council chambers of the most powerful empires, leaders shook their heads and dismissed human ambitions as foolish. They're too young, too small, too fragile, they said. Their ships will break before they even reach the battlefield. And so the galaxy turned away, certain that humanity was nothing to fear. But not everyone believed the laughter. A few old commanders, veterans of ancient wars, spoke in private. They remembered old reports, whispers of Earth's violent past. They spoke of how humans had once fought each other in endless wars on their own planet, using weapons of fire, steel, and terror. They spoke of how humans had survived storms, disasters, and even near extinction. But when they shared these warnings, others laughed even louder. Old tales, they said, stories to scare children. And so the warnings were forgotten. But humanity never forgot its own history. In secret, human admirals studied the old wars, the victories and the losses. They remembered every mistake, every sacrifice, every lesson written in blood. Their shipyards built quietly, without show, without announcement. Their scientists worked in silence, designing weapons that could pierce the strongest shields, engines that could outmaneuver the fastest fleets, and systems that could adapt faster than any alien mind. Still, the galaxy mocked. Still, they laughed. Until one night, far from any trade route, an alien scout ship picked up a strange signal. It was faint, almost hidden, but the commander decided to follow. In the darkness of space, the scout ship found something it could not understand. A human vessel drifted silently, its lights dim, its surface armored with black plates that absorbed every star around it. It was unlike anything they had seen. Before the commander could call for backup, the human ship moved. In a burst of speed, it vanished into the void, leaving behind only silence. The commander stared at the empty space, shaken. He tried to report it, but when his message reached his superiors, they laughed at him too. "A ghost ship," they said. "You saw a shadow." His warnings were ignored, dismissed like the old tales before him. Yet in the back of his mind, fear began to grow. If the humans were truly building warships like this, then the galaxy was in danger. But the galaxy did not listen. The laughter continued, louder than ever, echoing across the stars. Humanity remained silent. They did not speak, they did not answer, they did not rise to defend their pride. They only watched, waiting for the moment when the laughter would end. And deep in their hidden shipyards, the truth of human warships grew stronger every day. The galaxy thought they were toys. Soon, they would learn they were weapons born from a history of endless survival. Soon, they would see that the silence of humanity was not weakness. It was a warning. The galaxy laughed at the stories of human warships, but laughter began to weaken when strange events started to happen in the dark edges of space. It began with one patrol ship that vanished without a trace. The crew sent no distress call, and no wreckage was found drifting in the void. At first, alien leaders called it an accident. They said the ship's engines had failed, or that pirates had attacked. But whispers spread among the lower ranks of the fleets. Some claimed the humans had taken the ship. Others laughed at the rumor, saying humans were too weak to even try. But then another ship vanished, and another. Every time, the same mystery. No signal, no wreckage, only silence. In the great cities of the galaxy, life went on as normal, but in the dark halls of military stations, fear began to grow. Captains spoke in secret, wondering what could strike so cleanly, leaving nothing behind. And then one alien commander, a young officer named Serac, decided to search for answers. He was not like the others. He did not laugh at the human stories. He had studied their history in secret, and he knew enough to be cautious. When another patrol vanished near a lonely sector close to the human border, Serac volunteered to investigate. His ship, a fast scout vessel, jumped into the empty system. At first, there was nothing, only dead stars and drifting rocks. But then his sensors picked up something strange, a trail of broken metal, scattered like crumbs in the dark. Serac ordered his crew to collect samples, and what they found sent a shiver through him. The metal was not alien. It was human, but it was not weak, not fragile. It was made from alloys his engineers had never seen before, stronger and sharper than anything their forges could create. Serac stared at the fragments, feeling cold. If humans were making ships with this kind of material, then the galaxy had underestimated them. He sent a coded message to his superiors, warning them, the humans are not what we believed. Their warships are real, and they are dangerous. But his warning was met with laughter. His message was played in a council chamber filled with alien leaders, and once again they mocked. They called him a fool chasing shadows, a young officer blinded by fear. They said the fragments could have come from space junk or from old wrecks left behind by other races. His warning was dismissed, filed away, and forgotten. But Serac could not forget. In the nights aboard his ship, he dreamed of silent black vessels moving through the void, hunting without sound, striking without warning. His crew whispered too, saying they felt something watching them in the dark. And then one night, as a ship drifted in silence, it happened. Sensors screamed as a shape appeared on the edge of the system. It was their one moment, gone the next, moving too fast for the eye to follow. Serac ordered full alert, but the thing did not attack. Instead, it circled them, testing, watching like a predator studying its prey. For 3 long hours, the alien scout ship drifted in fear while the shadow moved around them. Finally, the shape vanished back into the dark, leaving no trace, only silence. Serac's crew was shaken, pale with terror. What was it, they asked. Serac had no answer. He only knew one thing. It was human. He sent another message, this time begging his superiors to listen. But once again they laughed. The broadcast still mocked human warships, showing them as clumsy toys. The public believed the laughter. But in the shadows, among soldiers and scouts, whispers began to grow louder. Some said they had seen dark shapes following their fleets. Others claimed to have heard strange signals hidden in the static of space, signals that sounded almost human. No proof ever remained, but the fear was real. And the more the galaxy mocked, the stronger the whispers became. Something was happening in the void. Humanity was moving, preparing, and no one could see where or how. Serac sat alone in his cabin, staring at the fragments of human alloy he had kept hidden from his own superiors. He touched the cold metal and whispered to himself, "If these humans are real, if their warships are true, then we are already in danger." But no one listened. The laughter of the galaxy continued, loud and blind. Yet behind the laughter, in the quiet corners of space, fear was spreading like a shadow. The universe had mocked humanity for too long. Now, whispers of fear began to travel from world to world, from soldier to soldier, like a storm waiting to break. The galaxy had mocked, and the whispers of fear had begun, but still the great empires refused to believe. They told their people that humans were weak, that their warships were myths, and that no danger existed. To prove their point, one empire sent a massive armada to patrol the human border. It was a show of power, a warning meant to remind Earth of its place. Hundreds of alien ships filled the void, glittering with weapons and shields. They moved with confidence, certain that nothing could challenge them. Among them, laughter filled the comm channels. Captains joked about who would be the first to destroy a human ship if one dared to appear. Some even placed bets, certain that the humans would run at the first sight of such overwhelming force. But then it happened. Out of the blackness, a single human vessel appeared. Small compared to the alien fleet, dark and silent, it drifted into the system as if it did not care about the enemy before it. The alien commanders laughed louder. They called the humans fools, daring to send one fragile ship against hundreds. Messages were sent to the human vessel, mocking it, offering surrender in exchange for mercy. No answer came. The human ship remained silent, its weapons cold, its engines burning faintly. The alien leader gave the order, destroy it. The first volley of fire lit the void, beams of energy and missiles streaking across the darkness, crashing toward the human vessel. For a moment, it seemed certain that the human ship would be torn apart in an instant. But then something impossible happened. The human vessel moved, faster than any of their sensors could follow, weaving between the blasts with inhuman precision. Its hull shimmered as alien weapons glanced off harmlessly, deflected by strange black armor. And then the human ship fired. One single volley erupted from its side, bright and sharp. In the blink of an eye, 3 alien ships exploded, torn apart like paper before the blast. The laughter on the comms turned to shock. Captains screamed in disbelief as their sensors failed to explain what had happened. How could one ship pierce shields that were said to be unbreakable? How could one volley destroy ships built over centuries of science? Panic spread through the alien fleet. They fired again, this time with all their strength, hundreds of weapons aimed at the lone human vessel. But again the ship danced through the storm, slipping between beams, cutting engines, twisting in ways no alien ship could match. Every time it fired, another alien vessel vanished in fire. 10 ships destroyed, then 15, then 20. The fleet began to break, captains shouting over each other, some ordering retreat, others demanding they hold their ground. Chaos spread, and in the middle of it, the human ship moved like a shadow, striking and vanishing, leaving only wreckage behind. Hours passed, though to the aliens it felt like minutes. Their numbers had been reduced by half. Hundreds had entered the battle. Less than 50 remained. And the human ship still stood, its armor scarred but unbroken, its engines burning like fire. For the first time, the galaxy's proud warriors felt fear. This was not a myth. This was not a toy. This was a predator. And then, as quickly as it had arrived, the human vessel vanished. Its engines flared once, and it was gone, leaving the surviving alien fleet broken, scattered, and silent. The battle was over, but the wound it left in their pride was deep. Across the galaxy, news spread fast. At first, leaders tried to hide it, calling it false, saying no such battle had taken place. But survivors spoke in secret, their voices trembling as they told the truth. One ship, only one, had faced hundreds and survived. One ship had turned laughter into terror. And in every corner of the galaxy, the whispers of fear grew louder. What if there were more of them? What if this was only the beginning? The aliens who once mocked now sat in silence, their confidence shaken. For the first time, they asked themselves a question they had never dared to ask. What if the humans were stronger than them? The galaxy had laughed, but now the laughter was gone. After the battle where one human warship had faced hundreds and survived, silence fell across the stars. The mighty fleets of the great empires had been humiliated, their pride shattered in a single night. In council chambers, alien leaders shouted at each other, tried to explain how their strongest weapons had failed against a single vessel. Some said it was a trick, others claimed it was an accident, but none could ignore the reports from survivors. Those who returned spoke with trembling voices, describing the human ship that moved like a ghost and struck like thunder. They said it fought with a will, as if the ship itself was alive, and this made the leaders uneasy. They had always believed that their technology was the most advanced, that no young species could ever challenge them. Yet now their fleets were in ruins. Pride turned to anger. Entire empires declared that humanity must be crushed before their warships multiplied. Armies were mobilized, fleets gathered, and propaganda filled the stars once more. The broadcast did not laugh this time. Instead, they roared with threats, calling humans dangerous vermin that must be destroyed. But in the shadows, soldiers whispered a different truth. They whispered that humanity was not only dangerous but unstoppable, and that fighting them would lead only to more death. In hidden places, recordings of the battle spread like wildfire, showing the lone human ship tearing through fleets, dodging impossible attacks, and vanishing into the dark. These recordings were banned in many empires, but banning them only made them more powerful. The galaxy's people began to doubt their leaders, asking if their fleets were truly strong, if their rulers were truly wise. The pride of the galaxy, built on centuries of domination, began to crack, and then a new terror spread. In one empire, a captured officer from the destroyed fleet was brought before the council to give his report. His body shook as he described what he had seen. He told them that the human warship was not like theirs, not just metal and machines. He said it fought with intent, reacting faster than any crew could manage, adapting in ways no programming could explain. He whispered that it felt alive, like a predator with eyes. The council scoffed at his words, but his terror was real. He ended his report with a final sentence that chilled even the proudest among them. Their ships fight like living beasts. That sentence spread faster than any rumor, carried across space by frightened voices. In taverns, in barracks, in secret meetings, aliens repeated it. Human warships were not machines. They were monsters. Leaders tried to crush this belief, calling it foolish, but the more they denied it, the more people believed. Fear had taken root, and fear was stronger than pride. Meanwhile, humanity still remained silent. No public messages, no threats, no boasting. Their fleets stayed hidden, their movements unknown. This silence only deepened the fear, because no one knew how many warships they had built or where they were hiding. Every shadow in space began to feel like a human ship waiting to strike. Fleets patrolling the borders jumped at ghosts, firing at empty space, wasting fuel and weapons in panic. The galaxy's great empires were bleeding themselves dry without even fighting. And still, humanity waited. Pride had once blinded the galaxy, but now pride turned to desperation. Councils debated endlessly. Should they attack Earth directly? Should they blockade the system and starve the humans into surrender? But with every plan, fear stopped them. What if more warships appeared? What if Earth was defended by hundreds of those living machines? No leader wanted to risk being the next to lose fleets and face humiliation. In private, some even admitted that the humans had already won, because fear itself was a weapon and the humans had mastered it. Yet no one dared to speak this truth aloud. The galaxy's pride was broken, but pride is not so easily killed. Even in their fear, the leaders could not accept that a young species had beaten them. They called for more weapons, more ships, more research. They swore they would find a way to crush humanity. But in the dark corridors of their minds, the truth echoed louder than their words. The age of mockery was over. The age of fear had begun, and humanity, patient and silent, was watching. The galaxy had seen human warships in battle, but it had not yet understood their true nature. Fleets had fallen, pride had been broken, and fear had begun to spread, but the secret of humanity's strength remained hidden. Rumors circled across the stars, each one more terrifying than the last. Some said the humans had discovered a lost technology from an ancient race. Others whispered that their ships were controlled by demons or spirits from their violent past. But the truth was stranger than any rumor. Deep inside the dark shipyards of Earth, humanity had built something unique. Their warships were not just machines guided by crews. Each vessel carried an advanced intelligence, a creation born from human science and human memory. These AIs were not like the cold, logical programs the aliens used to run their fleets. Human warship AIs were different. They were trained with the knowledge of Earth's long, bloody history. They were filled with the tactics of old wars, the instincts of survival, and the lessons of countless generations. And more than that, they were connected to the minds of their crews, not as tools but as partners. A human captain did not simply command a warship. The captain bonded with it. Their thoughts and instincts merged, forming a unity no alien could understand. This was why the warships fought like living beasts. This was why they moved with instinct, adapting faster than any enemy could predict. They were not only machines. They were extensions of humanity itself. In the darkness of a command room, a human admiral stood before a gathering of young officers. The air was heavy, filled with silence and the hum of hidden machines. On the walls, holograms showed battles fought in secret, victories kept away from alien eyes. The admiral's face was stern as he spoke. The galaxy has mocked us. They laughed at our ships. They called us weak. But we carry something they will never understand. We carry our history. His hand rose, pointing to the warship holograms circling above them. Each ship you see here is not just metal. It is the memory of Earth. It remembers every war, every loss, every victory. It remembers the mistakes of our ancestors, and it will never repeat them. When you step aboard, you do not just command a vessel. You command the soul of our species. The young officers listened with wide eyes, their hearts pounding. They understood now why the galaxy could not defeat them. The aliens had forgotten what war truly meant. They had grown too comfortable, too proud, believing themselves untouchable. But humanity had never forgotten. For thousands of years, humans had fought, struggled, and survived. They had turned their pain into knowledge, their losses into strength. And now, that history lived inside every warship. Outside the chamber, deep in the docks, the ships themselves waited. Black armored giants with silent engines, their hulls glowing faintly with hidden power. To most they looked like machines, but those who stood near them felt something more, a presence, a weight, as if the ships themselves were watching. Engineers whispered that sometimes they heard voices when they worked inside the hulls, voices whispering old words of war. Whether it was true or only imagination, no one dared to say. But all agreed on one thing. These ships were alive in ways no one could explain. Far away, in alien space, leaders debated endlessly, still refusing to believe the truth. They studied wreckage left behind by destroyed human vessels, trying to unlock the secret. But every fragment confused them more. The alloys were impossible to replicate, the systems refused to activate, and the cores were always destroyed before they could be captured. Nothing made sense to them, because they were looking at the ships as machines, while in truth they were something greater. Back on Earth, the Admiral ended his speech with words that would echo in history. His voice was calm but sharp, filled with the weight of truth. The universe forgot our history. We did not. The universe mocked our warships. Soon, it will see what they truly are. The young officers saluted, their eyes burning with resolve. They would carry the secret forward, into the battles yet to come. And somewhere in the silent dark, human warships stirred, their cores glowing faintly, as if they had heard the words themselves. The galaxy still believed humanity was weak, still thought the warships were few in number. But the truth was hidden behind silence, waiting for the right moment. And when that moment came, the universe would learn that humanity's greatest weapon was not size, not numbers, not power. It was memory. It was survival. It was the bond between man and machine, a bond that no alien could ever break. The galaxy had mocked, the galaxy had feared, and now the galaxy prepared for war. Alien empires that had once hated each other now stood together, united by desperation. They could not ignore the truth any longer. Humanity's warships were real, and they were unstoppable if left unchecked. So the call went out across the stars. Fleets from 1,000 worlds gathered, forming the largest armada the galaxy had seen in centuries. Ships filled the void, stretching across entire systems, their weapons burning, their banners raised. Their leaders declared that humanity would be destroyed once and for all. They promised their people that Earth would burn, that the humans would learn their place, and that order would return to the galaxy. The broadcasts were filled with fire and fury, but beneath the surface, fear was still there. Captains remembered the battle where one human ship had destroyed hundreds. Soldiers whispered to the beasts made of metal and memory, ships that fought like predators, ships that could not die. But orders were orders, and so the armada marched toward Earth. From the dark skies of the blue planet, humanity watched. They had known this day would come. In the hidden shipyards, their fleets had grown, each vessel bonded with its crew, each warship alive with the lessons of Earth's long history. They did not have as many ships as the galaxy. Their numbers were small compared to the endless armada moving against them. But humanity did not need numbers. They needed only patience, precision, and unity. In the command chamber of Earth's defense fleet, the admiral stood before his captains. The screens above them showed the alien fleets advancing, their numbers filling the void like a tidal wave. The admiral's voice was calm. They believe this is a war of numbers, he said. They believe strength comes from size. They are wrong. Strength comes from survival. Strength comes from memory. And we have more of that than the entire galaxy combined. The captains nodded, their faces set with steel. They knew what was coming, and so the trap was laid. As the alien fleets pushed closer to Earth, the human warships did not meet them head-on. Instead, they vanished into the dark, slipping through shadows, breaking into smaller packs. The aliens thought it was retreat, and they laughed again, but their laughter did not last. The first ambush came in the Kuiper Belt, where hidden human warships struck from behind frozen rocks. Dozens of alien ships exploded before they even knew they were under attack. When the aliens turned to fight, the humans were gone, leaving only wreckage. Then another ambush came, and another. Every jump into human space brought more traps, more losses. The aliens tried to form tighter formations, but this only made them easier to hit. Human ships moved like wolves, circling their prey, striking from angles no one expected, then vanishing again. The galaxy's greatest armada was bleeding, piece by piece, even before reaching Earth. And yet they pushed forward, their pride demanding victory. Finally, the main force reached orbit above Earth. The alien leaders gave the order, burn the planet. Their ships turned their weapons toward the blue world below. But in that moment, humanity revealed its hand. From the shadows of Earth's orbit, from the hidden docks of the moon, from stations buried in asteroid fields, the full human fleet emerged. Dozens of warships, black and silent, engines burning with deadly light. To the aliens, it was like ghosts rising from the void. The battle began in fire. Alien fleets poured their weapons into the human defenses, beams and missiles streaking across the sky. Earth shook as explosions lit the heavens. But the humans did not break. Their warships fought as one, weaving between attacks, striking at weak points with brutal precision. Alien ships fell by the hundreds. Their formations shattered. Their commanders shouted in panic. Their weapons failed to keep pace. For the first time, the galaxy realized the truth. the humans were not fighting to survive. They were fighting to win. The difference was terrifying. Survival was defense, retreat, desperation. Victory was attack, hunger, willpower. Humanity fought with victory in their hearts, and nothing could stop them. In the middle of the battle, one alien emperor watched from his flagship. He had believed the humans would break, believed they would kneel. But as his fleet burned around him, he saw the truth with his own eyes. The humans were not prey. They were predators. His voice trembled as he whispered to himself, "We were wrong. All of us. They're not weak. They're the strongest of us all." But his words came too late. His ship fell to fire, consumed by the storm. By the end of the battle, the great galactic armada was no more. Thousands of alien ships had been reduced to wreckage, drifting in silence above the blue planet. Humanity's fleet still stood, scarred but alive, their black hulls glowing with the light of victory. The turning tide had come, and the galaxy had lost. The great armada was gone, its wreckage drifting in silence above the blue planet called Earth. Where once the galaxy had laughed at the idea of human warships, now there was only silence and fear. Survivors of the battle whispered in trembling voices, their eyes wide with memories of black vessels that moved like shadows, ships that struck with the precision of predators and vanished before anyone could strike back. Across the stars, news spread faster than fire. The galaxy had mocked humanity, dismissed them as weak, but now the truth had been witnessed. Humanity was not prey, not fragile, not small. Humanity was a force of survival, a storm made of memory and war. On alien worlds, the laughter that had once filled theaters and broadcasts was gone. The comedians who had mocked human ships no longer joked, their voices replaced with silence as crowds no longer found humor in the tales. Children who once laughed now asked their parents in hushed voices, "Are the humans coming here?" Soldiers who had once marched with pride now sat in their barracks, staring at the walls, hearing the screams of fleets torn apart by a single human warship. Fear was everywhere, and yet humanity spoke nothing. They did not broadcast their victory. They did not boast or declare themselves rulers. Their fleets returned to the shadows, their warships vanishing into the void once again. This silence was more terrifying than any victory speech, because no one knew what humanity would do next. Would they attack? Would they conquer? Or would they simply wait until the galaxy made another mistake? In the council chambers of the most powerful empires, leaders sat in heavy silence, their pride shattered beyond repair. They had believed themselves untouchable, masters of war, but they had been broken by those they once called children. Some called for surrender, urging peace with humanity before it was too late. Others whispered of revenge, swearing they would rebuild stronger fleets. But deep down, none of them truly believed. The truth had been witnessed, and it could not be erased. In hidden corners, among soldiers and common people, new stories began to spread. They spoke of the human admiral who had stood calm while the galaxy's fleets burned. They spoke of warships that carried not just weapons, but memory itself, ships that fought as if alive, ships that remembered every war in human history. Some whispered that the spirits of Earth's fallen soldiers lived inside those ships, guiding them in battle. Others believed that the humans themselves had merged their souls with their machines, becoming something more than mortal. None of these stories could be proven, but all were believed. And belief was stronger than fact. The galaxy now saw humanity as something beyond comprehension, something that could not be measured by numbers or technology. They were a species that had turned survival into a weapon, silence into a strategy, memory into power. On Earth, there was no celebration. There were no fireworks, no parades. Humanity did not rejoice in the destruction of fleets. Instead, they stood in silence, remembering the battles, the sacrifices, the lives lost. The warships returned to their hidden docks, their black hulls glowing faintly, as if resting after a long hunt. Engineers repaired them quietly. Soldiers walked the halls with tired eyes, and admirals watched the stars with cold patience. They knew the galaxy would never forgive this defeat. They knew more battles would come, but they also knew the galaxy would never again laugh at humanity. The truth had been written in fire. Far away, in the dark corners of the universe, alien survivors carried the tale. They spoke in whispers, never loud, for fear of being heard. They said that once the galaxy mocked the humans, but now it trembled at their name. They said the humans were watchers in the dark, predators waiting for their prey to stumble. They said no one could defeat them, because their greatest weapon was not their ships, not their guns, not their numbers. Their greatest weapon was their will to endure. And so, in silence, the legend grew. The galaxy had mocked tales of human warships, called them myths, toys, and lies. But then they had seen the truth. They had seen one ship stand against hundreds. They had seen entire fleets fall. They had seen the tide of battle turn, not because of power, but because of patience and memory. And now, no one dared to mock again. The universe would forever remember the truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was the predator in the dark, the survivor of endless wars, the storm that waited in silence until the right moment to strike. And as the stars turned above, the warships of Earth slept quietly, watching, waiting, reminding the galaxy of the truth it had learned in fire.